Hey everybody, in today's video I'm going to share with you my macro in Google Sheets for pulling in email content into your Google Sheets file. So imagine you're looking for some emails in Gmail, you type in a search query, you get those results. So Google Sheets is going to do the same thing with this macro, pulling in the date, the subject, the link to the email, and the body, or at least part of the body. The advantage of this is it's an easy way to do a quick search from within Google Sheets just to see, what's in there without actually having to open up Gmail, and potentially you could parse out details from the body depending on how it's formatted to get other details as well, especially if you want to track it in a spreadsheet. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So the macro that the function that I've created in Google Sheets, I'll share with you in the post related to this video. But first I'm going to show you how it works. So I have an area here for the subject and one for the label. This is all combined into one search query. So there's two named ranges that are necessary. So one is the key subject and one is the key label. So the key label is down here. So subject is anything that has to be contained within the subject. So for example, I get a lot of emails in one inbox, specifically that's for company filings. So these are 10K, 8K filings, that sort of thing. So a keyword I can use is filing. Now the problem is I get too many results for that, so I don't want hundreds of rows of data in here. Instead, what I'm going to do is add also a ticker symbol for Airbnb, so A, B, and B. I'm going to leave the label blank because I just want to search for the subject. So I'm going to hit the button to run macro, and what it's going to go through is all of my emails that are in that inbox and populate the data. So this macro ran pretty quickly right now just because there weren't a lot of things that met my criteria. But if I just left it open to filing, it could, it'd take a while, a few minutes potentially to run. But as you can see, we've got the dates, we've got the subject, we've got a link to the email, and also a portion of the body. So that's how it works. Now the one thing you'll notice is I've got a lot of characters for the body in here, and so we can adjust that. Now I'll show you how this macro works and how you can make changes to it. So if I go over to here, and again I'm going to have this on the post related to the video, so you can just copy and paste it from there. So we're selecting obviously the current spreadsheet, getting the last row. I use a K value of 6, and that's basically the starting row. So I've got my headers in row 5. So from 6 all the way to the bottom, it's going to clear those values, and that's when it's going to start populating the cells. So if you want to adjust the spreadsheet, if you want to use a different row number, keep that in mind. And so it's going to clear that content. For the email string, it's going to go to the default email inbox. So it's important that, especially if you've got multiple Gmail accounts, be in the one that you actually want to run the macro on. Because as far as I know, it seems like a limitation as far as Google Sheets goes right now, that you can't specify a different email, or at least it doesn't work properly right now. So if you want to be run the macro when you're logged into the email that you're wanting to run it on. Otherwise, it may not work properly, or it may not extract the emails that you want. So the key subject, as mentioned, is going to pull those values within the subject. The label is going to get attached to this. So we've got the label and the subject get merged together, creating that search query when it searches through the Gmail app. And then what it's going to do is cycle through all those threads that it found, all those emails that it found. And then it's going to get the date, the subject, the body, and the ID. And then it's going to populate that within that sheet. Again, it's using those K values for the row number, column number 1, column number 2, column number 3, and column number 4. So if you want to move these around, put them in different columns or different rows, these are the values that you change. 1 through 4 are the columns. The K value is automatically going to increment. So if you want to change the starting row, go and change it here. And as I mentioned, for the body, it's pulling in the first 600 characters. So that may be a bit much. So if you want something a bit smaller, you can do 300, or you can just wipe this out entirely and delete this line for the body and then this line as well, and that just doesn't populate. The one thing to remember though, if you are making changes to this macro, hit the save button before you go back into the file, because if you go back into the file and then just run the macro, then it's not going to run with your updated changes. So just keep that in mind, because you want to save first and then go back into the file. You can also run the macro from right in here. But once you've made the changes, now let's say I want to do a different file. Let's say I want to do ABV, which is the ticker symbol of ABBV. Now if I click run macro, it's going to populate just emails that match that subject. All right, so we've got ABV, filing, right? So we've got that in there. So if I click on one of these emails, it's going to open it up and populate exactly what that was. So this is for an ABV filing. Got all the details in there. So obviously there's a lot of text in here. So this is why you'd want to limit how much of the body gets pulled in here. But that's how you can do that. Now I will show you one other thing, and that's how to create a button for this, because obviously you can run it from clicking this button, which isn't really practical. You'd probably want an easy way to run it on here. And so you can do that by creating a button. And to create a button, you can go to Insert and select Drawing. And now the easiest way to do it is really just creating a text box here. And let's just type in macro. And what we can do is set this to, let's say a light blue color. Save and close. And there's our macro. I'll delete this other one. So if I right click this, there's an option to delete. I'll move this one over here. Now I haven't assigned it to anything right now. Clicking it just selects it. So if you want to assign it, copy that function name, go back in here and select these three dots and assign script. Just paste that in there. Select OK, and now it's saved. So now if we were to run again, let's go filing again, back to Airbnb. Push that macro button. Now it's going to run that script. And now we've got Airbnb. And so now you've got an easy way to run that macro just by using that button and without having to go in through the actual project and making those or clicking on the run button from there. So as you can see, that'll make it a whole lot easier for you to run. And yeah, you can add in labels. You can do some parsing if you wanted to, like if there's, depending on how your text comes in, there's a potential to create formulas here to parse out data from that. That might be useful to you. But just want to give you an example of some of the things Google Sheets can do. And so again, I'll leave all these details and the code on the link to my website for this video, where you can follow along and just paste that into your spreadsheet. So hope you found this useful, and thanks very much for watching.